So I spent the last 20 years working in metal. Voodoo Choppers was started in 1999. I've never really had a dedicated space for woodworking, and over the last couple of years I've been sort of getting back into it. I enjoy it and I'm excited to see where it's going to take me. What I did is I built a woodworking shop here. I've spent 2 months totally repurposing this building, making it something of mine, something I can grow into and keep adding equipment in. Come on inside, I'm going to show you what I got planned for this year. This area here behind me is going to be for all hand tools. Planes, chisels, gouges, all that hand stuff is going to be over here in this area. I want to put shelving up on the wall, make some nice custom cabinets for everything, really showcase it as a place for craftsmanship, you know. I put a scroll saw in recently. Haven't even really had a chance to use it much at all, but I'm excited for the possibilities. I think this is going to be a lot of fun projects. Some nice boxes, some fretwork. This room here is going to be for finishing. Right now I'm using it for just organizing, and I've got a lot of stuff in there. It's a bit of a mess, but eventually it's going to be a nice dedicated area. Keep all the finishing stuff in there, epoxies, all that stuff. I don't have to worry about it. It's out of the way, nice and clean. This area here, I'm going to put a charging station for all the cordless power tools and things like that, and also fasteners and stuff. I've got a bandsaw here, and I've got it positioned this way because I think it's going to work out well. I've got a lot of room on this side of the table. I've got a lot of room behind me, so I can feed work through that way. I don't know if it's going to live there forever, but I want to see how it works out. Buddy's got his bed here right next to the stove. It's nice and hot. This was the very first thing we put in, actually, because it's Michigan and it gets cold. Every time I've had an opportunity to work in somebody else's shop that had a wood burning stove, I loved it. The heat it puts off, the smells, the sounds, the crackling, it's awesome, man. It just makes this space so warm and so inviting. So I knew that was the very first thing I was going to do, and I do love it. This wall over here is going to be for my miter station. I'm going to replace this unit, get something that's accurate, nice, something I can grow into, build all custom cabinet along this wall, storage for power equipment, storage up above, really use this space well. We've got a lot of room here. I can have stock all the way out here. I think it's going to work great. Down here, it's all going to be stationary equipment. So I'll put a drill press in here. I got a router table I want to add. My lathe I'm probably going to put here. I like being able to look out the window, and I think having the lathe here will be pretty cool. Got a lot of natural light coming in. Again, I might shift things around, but that's what's in my head right now. I think my dust collector is going to go right here. I want to put a nice centralized system in, and I think that's going to live here. It's close to the door so I can get rid of the debris, and also I can pipe it out throughout the rest of the shop. Now the center of the shop is going to be my table saw. And right now I've got this unit here. This, along with the bandsaw, mean a lot to me. They've been in my family for probably 50, 60 years. My granddad bought them, and this is what I grew up with. I mean, this table saw has been all over the place in our families. My parents' first home, their second home. I mean, I grew up on this thing. I remember it. I remember how heavy it is. And as much as it pains me, I think it's time to upgrade. I'd really like to talk to Woodcraft about a Sawstop. I think that's an incredible piece of machinery, and I think it would really just be a great addition to this space. So let's head over to Woodcraft, talk to those guys, see what we can do about a Sawstop and a new bandsaw. So Russ, we've got a row of bandsaws here. Tell me about it.
Well, we have several to choose from. Tell me a little bit of how you're going to use your bandsaw.
I really want flexibility. I want to be able to do some resawing, but I also want to be able to work on smaller projects and smaller pieces. So I want a lot of blade variants.
Okay.
And I want something I can grow into, something that'll last me a long time.
Sure. With everything you kind of described, these right here that you're looking at will probably work out just fine. They're 14-inch machines. Basically what that means in general is you have 14 inches to the body as well as to the top.
Okay.
Now most machines aren't really going to cover that, but that's the generic area that they're looking for.
Right,
so
right,
you're
right.
going to get a good foot or so each way.
And I like this a lot because the bandsaw I have now is, I think, a 12-inch model, but I might be able to get a 4-inch cut on it, you know?
Yeah. They changed the design of these now so that they have a different structure to them. Before they used to be cast iron and you had to put blocks in order to raise it up.
Right.
This is all built in for you. There's no problems with tensioning or whatnot on there. They work out really great.
Okay.
That it's a newer style. It's been around for a while and it's worked out wonderfully well. It's quite solid.
Okay.
They have the basic systems for the guides. That this is the tried and true one that you use an Allen wrench or so to loosen this up, and then you'll have a little knob here that you can adjust that back and forth, then cinch it down. The
Okay.
problem with that is each time you cinch it, it moves a tiny bit, right?
Right.
So they came up with this, which is their new improved version, which basically has a spring-loaded mechanism in there so that you can just squeeze that down
Oh,
right to the blade and lock that, and you're pretty much done.
check that out.
That is really nice if you're going to do a lot of blade changes.
Yeah, that's nice. And like, I don't have a problem changing blades. You know what I
Okay.
mean? Like, I don't have a huge shop, so I don't want to have multiple bandsaws necessarily. Yeah, maybe down the road, but for right now, I don't have a problem with it. So, what other features about this machine do you like?
They've come up with a really nice fence system for this. That this is a taller fence than what they used to come with. Before it used to be about a 2 or 3 inch high fence. So now, if you're going to get into resawing, you have all this extra capacity to hold things more square to your blade.
Okay.
It's just more robust, so it doesn't move or anything. This piece here is meant to be used for resawing, where you strike a line down the top of the board and you weeble wobble it to stay on the line.
Oh, okay. All right. All right.
But you can take this off and you can figure out how to adjust your fence so that you can use it just like a table saw. Just takes a few minutes to do that, and I can show you how to do that.
Yeah, nice.
But that's something that makes a big difference, so you could just push it through and you have no worries that it's going to be coming out straight and clean.
Very cool.
Now, obviously, you have to put the right blade in there to do that, but just it's something that makes it a lot simpler. And these over here are a little bit different beast. If you can see the white ceramic guides in there,
Oh, yeah.
top and bottom.
Yeah,
See
yeah,
how they're
yeah, yeah.
spaced? You have a lot more room top and bottom to that, so it's giving you more, I call it beam strength, to hold that steady. So for resawing purposes and that, it keeps the blade running steadier and truer for you.
That's a lot more stable.
So this is quite nice. It's also fairly easy to adjust, similar to this. This, I say, is a little bit easier, but this is very simple and easy to work with. With the ceramic guides, that's a little different for most people, that they're not used to those, but they work out very, very well.
So you
and very
just loosen
simply.
this up,
Just gently push it in place.
a little bit of pressure on there, no?
Yep.
If any, right?
Yeah, just touching the blade, and you go from there. The one thing that you need to be aware of with these is that sparks are not unusual with a brand new blade,
Oh.
and it can also take metal off the back of the blade until it squares everything up.
Oh, okay.
That the ceramic is harder than the metal in the blades. But once that's done and it's happy, you're going to be getting good cutting for a good long time.
What other features should I be considering?
One of the things that I really like and look for with the saws nowadays are things like this foot brake. That this is quite nice because as you're using the saw, you can stop it and start it multiple times compared to what these things do when they're running down.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So if you have a board that you push through and you're trying to wait for it to stop, you've hit the stop button and you're waiting for the blade to stop.
Yeah.
It can take quite a while with some of these. We've timed them so that they're anywhere from 30 seconds to over a minute and a half.
Oh, yeah.
That's a long time. But with this, you step on it, stops the blade, turns the machine off. You can do all of your things and start it back up again if you need to. So
Nice.
it's really nice.
I like this a lot. That's
I
a
think
nice
that's a feature well worth getting.
Now, is this machine 110 or 220?
You can get it either way. It's 110 volt, available as 110 volt or a 220. You go from like a 1 3/4 at the 110 up to 2.5 horse for the 220. So with resawing, if that's going to be a priority to you, I would definitely recommend the 220.
Yeah, I've got 220 in the shop. Let's do that. I think this is good. This is the machine for me.
Terrific.
So, I also want to talk about table saws.
We have those. They're right over here.
All right. You know, Russ, on a Craftsman's Legacy, we see saw stops everywhere. Almost every shop we go to that has wood involved has a saw stop. So what can you tell me about this?
They're nice machines. They've really taken over the market since they've come out.
Yeah.
A lot of people like them because of the safety feature. And what that is basically is there's an electrical current that runs through here, and if you happen to touch the blade, it interrupts that so that it fires a cartridge into the blade to stop that so that you don't get injured. It also stops the blade and drops it below the surface, so if you fall into it, nothing happens to you.
Oh, that's fantastic.
It looks basically like this. The cartridge buries itself right into the teeth of the blade and just stops it almost immediately.
Look at that.
We've done demos with hot dogs, and you really can't see, even where the mark is on the hot dog, you have to look in order to find it, that it works that way.
Oh, that's great.
So that's nice. But in order to make that work, they had to overbuild the system so that it can handle these hits.
Oh, yeah. That
Because
makes
it's not
sense.
a one and done type of system
Yeah.
that you might have a shop or something where there's multiple people using it. So there's opportunities for accidents all the time. So with that, you need to build it so it can handle being replaced multiple times, and it does a really wonderful job with that.
Oh, that makes a ton of sense. So this machine looks like it has quite a few accessories on it.
This one's pretty loaded. There's the router on the end, router table, so you could put that on the end. There is another one that you could put, or you could put the same thing on this side as well and put in a cast iron piece. So if you wanted, you could have all cast iron all the way across the top. We have the outfeed table on the back, and then the dust collection going across here too. That ties into this head. This head is unique to the 3 horsepower system. That if you get the 1 3/4 system, it doesn't come with this one. It's an upgrade.
Oh, okay. All right. Speaking of that, what are the advantages for me to go with a 110 or a 220 system?
Basically power.
Yeah.
Main thing is going to be power. That, as an example, I like to cut cherry. And when I use a 1 3/4 saw, many times I get a little bit of burn just because you're trying to control the cut and go through. Whereas with the 3 horsepower, it's just one and done.
You don't have to worry about it.
You don't have to worry about it. So
All right.
that makes it a lot sweeter.
Well, I like that idea.
Yeah, so it makes it a lot easier.
And this fence looks pretty stout. What can you tell me about that?
This is one of my favorite things. On any saw, when you're looking at them, the fence is going to be one of the biggest issues.
Sure.
And I like this because it's a Biesmeyer style fence. It has a really wide rail back here. When you lock it down, it's not going to move. You push on that and really, it doesn't move at all.
Oh, look at that.
So if you're looking for accuracy, that's a great way to go.
Nice. This is a great upgrade because my table saw now, accurate's not a word I would use to describe it, right?
Okay.
It's from the 50s.
You'll be pleasantly surprised. This works fantastic.
Is there any other accessories I should think of?
Well, there's several. Are you going to be doing anything with plywood?
Absolutely.
Sheet goods and that?
Yeah.
Okay. In that case, what we're showing you here is a 36-inch saw. You might want to consider the 52, so then everything fits on that if you know
Okay.
you're going to do that regularly.
Oh, yeah.
There is also a sliding table that you can get for that, so if you want to do angled cuts, that makes that more easy.
I like that.
We're just pushing things through for just kind of doing cross cuts with it.
I like that. And dust collection?
Dust collection, what you're seeing here is their basic tube system. It comes off of a 4-inch port down on the bottom and then ties into the head here. This works probably the best of all the different ones that I've seen, that it collects everything right at the top, whereas you probably experience all the dust that comes off of the blade as it's spinning with nothing on it. So
Yeah.
that captures pretty much everything, so it does a nice job.
Hey, let me ask you, what is this for? What does
That
this
is
do?
basically to tell you where the height of the blade is. So if you happen to hit that, you know you're not going to come through. The blade isn't going to come through.
Wow, I like that. You know, that's simple, but I really like it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it makes a difference.
And if you don't need it, it all comes off, or you can flip it up and out of the way.
All right, man. Let's do it.
Terrific.
Yeah.
Just said.
Let's hook it up. We'll get it in the truck and head home.
Terrific.
Oh, well, thanks, man.
You're welcome. Appreciate you coming in.
Appreciate it. This machine is fantastic. I'm so impressed with the packaging and the materials, the way it was shipped. I can't tell you how easy it was to assemble. I did end up redoing these cast iron wings though, and I used some soda pop can for a shim just to get them perfect, and I wanted everything nice and flat. I didn't rush it, I really took my time with it. Position in the shop, you know, I'm gonna have to play around with it a little bit. I didn't do a graph paper layout, which I normally do when I move shops. Every time I've done that with Voodoo, I've always done a graph paper layout for my equipment. I didn't here because I sort of wanted to get it together, see what kind of space I need around it, and then just go from there. And I'm definitely gonna have to tweak it a little bit because this is a beast. It's taking up a lot of space, so I can already tell I'm gonna have to move equipment around, but we'll see how it goes. I'm super excited to get going on my next project though. This thing is gonna be awesome to use and get to know, and I think it's gonna last me a lifetime. That's nice. Holy smokes.